This right here is the exact reason why I prefer older cars. I mean, just look at these two. The new Audi Q3 up top, the peak Q3 at the bottom, the 2015 version. And I don't know about you, but it's very, very hard for me to justify that the new one looks better than the old one. The old one is just a fantastic design, both in a front side and let's not talk about the interior, but we're gonna do that anyway, of course, later on in this video, because the interior is on a completely different level. If the exterior is better for the 2015 model, it has nothing on the interior for 2015. When Audi used to make the best interiors, I would say, in the business in this era where you have this one. So we're going to have a look at this new Q3. I'm going to let you know what I think about it, in case you didn't get the hint already from a front, side, and rear, and also, of course, the interior. But first of all, let's check out this article from Car and Driver, and let's see what this is all about and what type of trim we're going to get and powertrain we're going to get here in the United States. So 2026 Audi Q3 gains sharper sheet metal and high-tech cabin. Yeah, it's high-tech cabin for sure, but it's not my cup of tea. So Audi's smallest SUV enters its third generation with Mini Q5 styling and sticks with 4-cylinder powertrains, with the US missing out on the hybrid tech. I don't understand why, because that is the one that if I were to buy a Q3, I would 100% go with a hybrid, which has, I think, about 60 miles of EV range or something like that. Not sure why they're not going to bring it here to the States. So it mimics the recently overhauled Q5 SUV, which you also made a video here on the channel. You got two screens in the interior with an 11.9-inch digital gauge cluster and a 12.8-inch touchscreen. And it's said that the US spec Q3 will be powered by a 2-liter turbo 4 without the 48-volt hybrid system. I want to hear the reasoning for that, because hybrids right now in the States, I think, are selling really well. Right now I have the Mercedes GLC 350e, and that is a great hybrid. I'm going to make a review of that on the Sketch Monkey channel shortly. So you have split headlight, of course, in the front end, similar to what we have on the Q5. And I've said what I think about this before as well. So you have the split headlight design that sets narrow LED running lights above the main headlight unit, the latter living within a vertical trim piece that is linked to the lower bumper intake by a gloss black blade. And you can see that here. Yeah, we're gonna talk more about the design in a minute. I'm gonna try and retain myself here. The Q3's face is dominated by a wide grille with a bold, repeating octagonal motif. The Q3's light can perform cool tricks in Europe, but here in the States, you know, the regulations here, we can't have those cool camera side mirrors. We can't have Audi making some nice, cool animations for the taillights and the headlights. It's against regulation here, okay? We can't have that much fun when it comes to cars here in the United States. So that's only available in Europe. You got a strong shoulder line, they say here, extend from the headlights and taillight. We can see it here. Not sure if I would call this a shoulder line though. It's more of a fender muscle, because we don't have anything here in the middle. It's completely flat, and then it comes back over the rear axle once again. I do like this line in the side view, great, giving it some proper stance in the rear end. But to me, it really isn't shouting Audi, this design to me. So the taillight also adopts a split look with a thin light bar spanning the width of the SUV and eyebrows that can be had with optional digital OLED lighting pointing inwards above a large faux vent cover the rear bumper and sits above the diffuser trim piece. The Q3 rides on wheels ranging from 17 inches to 20 inches in diameter. And having this vehicle with 17 inches is going to look very strange. It's going to look like it's on stilts, so you definitely want to go with the 20-inch here, of course. And on top of these two displays in the interior, you also have a head-up display as well. So display bonanza going on. Audi also reconfigured the center console to free up more storage space, shifting the gear selector to a stalk behind the steering wheel, something seems to be a huge trend right now. The center console has two cup holders, a wireless charging pad, and two USB-C ports, and there's also two USB-C ports for the rear passengers. You got laminated front side glass to keep the cabin quieter than what it used to be for the baby Q3. So it will go on sale here in the States exclusively with the turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder engine without the hybrid, as we talked about. Now, the current 2025 Q3 is powered by a 228 horsepower 2-liter turbo 4 and standard all-wheel drive. Now in Europe, they got a lot more options. Look at this. The base Turbo 4 uses a aforementioned 48-volt system, sending 147 horsepower through a 7-speed automatic gearbox. 147 horsepower does not sound like a lot in today's standard. I mean, if it's a hybrid, I would assume it to have a little bit more than that, because you do have an electric motor as well. But 147 horsepower seems way down low in power today. So Europe also receives a 147 horsepower diesel 4-cylinder and a more potent gas 4-pot setup with all-wheel drive, churning out either 201 or 261 horsepower. Now there is a okay, here it is. So there is a plug-in hybrid as well, not just the 48 hybrid system. So you have a plug-in hybrid, and this is the one I want to see here. 268 horsepower and 20 kilowatt-hour battery that should provide roughly 63 miles of EV range. Not bad at all. It's almost like a Fiat 500e standard range, which is a full EV, and you get that in a Q3. So it will come standard with steel spring suspension, but you can also option it with sports suspension. There is also a new adaptive driving assist. Plus, I don't like these systems at all. Have you driven the new Camry, the new Prius, any new Toyota? When you have your arm up top on the steering wheel like this, the monitor can't see you. So in the gauge cluster, it always says like "sit up!" exclamation mark. Like, don't tell me to sit up in my car when I'm driving just because you can't see my face. That is what I don't like, all of these monitors that we have. But that's just the times we're living now. So you have a monitor that drives attention and looks for signs of drowsiness. It will go on sale in October in Europe, and Audi says it will make its way stateside next year, with more details on US-specific versions coming later, I guess this year. So the base one today starts at $41,095. You can't expect it to be, of course, inflation and stuff like that. Of course, it's going to go up in price, like everything is these days. In case you missed it, my 11-hour online class in design sketching is now only $47. If you have any desire to pick up the skill of sketching products using simple tools such as a big pen and cheap print paper, this is something you want to check out. Over the years, I've taught thousands of students from all around the world how to sketch cars and products, and most of them have seen amazing results from my classes. Analog Designer Pro Pack is the full bundle of all my classes I've released over the years, and it's yours for just $47. Check out everything that's included and see what my students have to say in the link in the description, or simply visit analogdesignerpropack.com. Now, looking at the design here, okay? So looking at the new one up here, the 2015 model is not the latest one, and I didn't pick the latest one for a single purpose, that this is by far the best looking Q3 Audi has ever made. I mean, look at this design, how clean it is, and how everything has a connection to each other in the front end graphics. We have a nice chamfer here in the lower section, housing baseline for the headlight unit. I kind of like this black graphic here as well that connects to the grille from the headlight, and the headlight unit itself actually sits where you would expect the headlight to sit, right up in the corner of the grille. And you have very simple LED daytime run lights here as well, looking super clean. And if I were to pick one of these, if I were to have one of these cars in my garage, and when I woke up to the car, which one would I be more excited about? The top one or the lower one? To me, it's going to be obvious. It's going to be the lower one right here. Now, looking at the new one, I don't know why we have to make everything so freaking complex when it comes to line flowing graphics. I mean, this looks like some sort of tumor on the side of the vehicle here. I don't know what's going on. Why does it stick up this far and just squeezes the daytime run light? Look how thin this area is. It just creates a lot of tension. It doesn't look comfortable for the eyeball of the Audi. It looks like it's just pushing up like this. It doesn't give it any space to breathe up top. I just think everything today, specifically Audi, is almost coming into this BMW vibe where it gets too complex and everything is starting to look like a mess. And I'm not a huge fan of what's going on here. Then we have this massive chamfer around here that doesn't have a baseline to it, so it just cuts off right here. So it feels like the grille is sort of hanging in mid-air. It needs more, in my opinion, it needs more more of a base or a support underneath with bodywork underneath here, and just a smaller intake in the lower section. And then of course we have the trend of the last 5 years going to be bumper headlights right here. We have the daytime running lights sitting up top, and we have some very they're still a bit organic, these dips that we have in the hood here, but they're starting to, you know, sneak into a more industrial look. Similar to what we have for BMW. And looking at the old one, I mean the 2015, there is no question. Look at the lines that we have on the hood here, for example. Very clean, nothing going on in the hood here. We have a nice, beautiful black grille and the separation of the graphics. This does not stick up all the way to this point and squeezes the eyeball up top. This black graphic I'm talking about right now, like we have on the new Audi. This, to me, is a beautiful looking SUV, and if they were to make a new Q3 and it looks still exactly the same as 2015, I would be very, very happy to see that. Now, looking at the side view, this is what I'm talking about, that this does not feel Audi to me, the new one, because we don't have these curvatures over the both axles as Audi used to do when they symbolize that this is a quattro vehicle of all-wheel drive. They want to have two curvatures. Now this front line here is pretty straight, and then we have sort of a bit of a curvature over the rear axle. The proportions look decent. They don't look bad at all, but the complex graphics in the front end and the rear end just ruins everything for me here. This looks to be the 20-inch wheels here as well. If I were to pick one favorite view for this, it's going to be the side view, because that makes me not have to look at either the front end or the rear end graphic. The rear end is not that bad, but the front end to me is just simply not good graphically or design-wise, aesthetically, when it comes to the new Q3. Now, looking at the old one here, look at the proportions here, how tight this is, and this is what I call a strong shoulder line. We have it starting right at the corner of the headlights, going all the way back. It does not break anywhere, and it goes straight into the corner of the taillight. Proportions here look beautiful as well. Nice looking design for this 2015 model year. We have a nice line here in the middle that continues into the bumper as well. And we have a beautiful harmonious separation between the graphics, even in side view and also in the back end. These taillights look gorgeous. When I see them today, still this Q3, when I see it out on the roads today, I look twice, because I think it's such a beautiful looking design. I also definitely prefer these wheels that we had in the 2015 model year, and this being the RS model, you have the silver trim around the greenhouse, which for once I think looks good. Usually I like the shadow line trim when everything is blacked out, but here having this silver side mirror, it goes back to the old RS models, the RS4s, the B5 and so on of the early 2000s or late 90s. Now, looking at the rear end here, as I said, the new one does not look bad when it comes to the rear end design, but does it look as good as the old one? Again, I mean, I might sound like a broken record here. Pretty much every new car that comes out these days, it makes me appreciate the older designs. And this is not a very old, it's just 10 years old, but this is the changes that we've seen the past 10 years. It's like every car company needs to shout as loud as possible when it comes to their designs. And the more shouty it gets, the messier the design gets. And I think Audi is on that train as well. But I do like this very crisp light bar that we have going right across. And we also have the separation here with a bit of bodywork between the top graphics right here and the lower graphics, which is the light bar. Not sure about this piece here though. Completely fake air vent right there. Fake air vents right, or graphics right here that sits too high. I'm not sure why. This looks like a diffuser that sits on top of the bumper. This, to me, should sit all the way down in this area, be the furthest, all the way down, the last key graphic that sits in the bottom of the vehicle, not up here in the bumper. But I guess that's a new take on how you can design, a bumper design. It doesn't make sense to me why we would have this, but that's just what we get for the new Audis. You also have gloss black framing for it, looking very peculiar, if for the lack of a better word. Now, looking at the old one here, look at the taillights, how sharp it is, how confident it is. It goes from wide here into thinner pieces, and the angled downwards, inwards as well, creating this almost menacing looking design. And we have a nice separation here of a proper bumper, a solid bumper, nice diffuser that sits actually in the lower section of the vehicle itself. One exhaust pipes on one side. I would like to see a symmetrical typical RS pipes here. This being the RS Q3, this being the RS Q3, I have not seen this in real life. I know we did not get it here in the United States. I didn't even know that this existed, but now that I do, it's probably my favorite Q3 of all time. And let me know which one you prefer these. And if you prefer the new one, I want to hear your reasons why you prefer the new design over the old one. What is it in your opinion that makes it a better design than this old, beautiful, clean design that we have from 2015? Now, last but not least, let's just do it. Let's jump in and talk about this interior. Audi used to have this. 2015 was when Audi had some of the best interiors in the business. I mean, this is a place that I would want to sit for a cross-country road trip and never get out of this interior because it's such a beautiful interior. One detail I loved about this specific generation are the LEDs that we have all over. These red LEDs that light up at night, all the way up here for the radio settings, the climate settings, the traction control settings here, climate settings all the way down here. You have the nice gear selector looking almost like a manual gear selector here. Steering wheel looks beautiful, and look at the housing, a rounded cap for it that follows the shape of the steering wheel itself. And inside here you have the deep gauge cluster sitting deep within this housing, looking absolutely beautiful. We have a small little display in the middle. That is all I want to have in my gauge cluster. I want to have analog clusters. I know it's going to cost manufacturers more to produce these type of interiors instead of just making everything just a boring dead screen like this, soulless screen. This, I mean, the companies are selling these screens as if this is a luxury feature, but it's actually a lot cheaper, of course, to produce screens like this, where you have software instead of physical pieces that you need to manufacture. And that is the reason why I always prefer analog clusters. It doesn't matter if it's a new car or an old car. And then I don't know about this framing for this infotainment screen. What is going on here? Why do we have an angle here and then a small little corner, another angle going into another corner? I guess it's better than what BMW is doing, just having a box up top here with two 12.3 or whatever it is screens up top there. This looks maybe a little better than that, but the integration, look at how the dash is shaped here, and how you have all these fluid lines and surfaces, and then you have just a flat screen that just sits and covers all of these pieces. It doesn't flow with the interior, and this is, I've said this so many times on this channel before, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But I wish we could go back to at least have analog gauge clusters in cars and analog physical buttons for every single car when it comes to at least the fan speed and the temp controls, just like we had in the old Audis of 2015, when they by far used to make some of the best interiors in the business.